Hi everyone, welcome to Live Interactive English. I'm Mike.
And I'm Sam.
And we are back, Sam, with Fei-Fei, as she is doing very well. I would say salute to Fei-Fei. Well done, and well done to any of you who are ever having to do this exchange student thing. It can be scary, it can be stressful, but if you get through the first kind of rough few days, maybe a few weeks, yeah, you might feel a bit homesick, but once you get some friends, you will probably love it. And then at the end of the time when you should go home, you might be like, no, I don't want to go back to school in Taiwan. I love it here because you're having such a good time. But making friends is a big part of that. Yesterday, we kind of did the basics, you know, settling into your home, settling into school, finding your way around. Everybody needs to do that. And it's actually not that hard. Just ask a bunch of questions and pay attention. Making friends can be more of a challenge. Were you ever in this situation, new school, exchange student? I mean, obviously, when you moved here, you probably didn't know a lot of people. So how did that go for you?
Yeah, so I actually ended up doing 3 different exchange programs when I was in college. So it wasn't in high school or you know, younger schools. I feel like that would be a little bit more stressful. So I didn't do a homestay. But it was very interesting of the idea of like, you are very new to this school where everybody else has been there with the same people for years and years and years. But you kind of just have to go into it with I'm only here a short time. I'm gonna make the most of it. So you just kind of get used to talking to whoever and tell yourself it doesn't matter if you're, you know, if they think like, oh, well, she was kind of a weird person. Well, it doesn't matter. You're gonna leave in a couple months anyway. You have to make it the best for yourself. And you find out that lots of people want to get to know you because they also want to know about where do you come from? What's school like where you are? What's your country like? And if I go visit that country, can I visit you? So it's very easy actually to make friends. That's
very true. You're kind of the new flavor. You're the new toy. You're the new thing at school. So a lot of people will be interested in you. And of course, they have no idea that you're kind of weird, right? You can be as cool as you want to be because nobody knows your history. So in some ways, you're kind of like a spy in a new country and you can make up a story about yourself. I mean, don't lie about yourself, but yeah, you can go in with a certain confidence because as you said, people will be interested in you. You can start all these fresh new relationships, and finding things that you share with other people, I think, can always be a really enjoyable thing, right? You see someone playing a game or reading a book, or you know that they're listening to a certain kind of music, whatever, something that you like and they like, and bam, there's a connection, and pretty soon you probably have a friend. And so we're going to be looking at some of that stuff, starting off with a great way to make connections and hopefully friendships, talking about hobbies. Not talking about Frodo and Bilbo, although that could be a good thing to talk about.
That could be one of your hobbies.
Yes. Ethan greets Fei-Fei on the way home from school.
Hey, weren't you in English class today?
Yeah, I was. You're Ethan, right?
That's me. Do you walk home this way too?
I do. Just to introduce myself, I'm Fei-Fei.
Got it. Nice to meet you properly. So, what do you usually do after school?
I listen to music or draw. Drawing helps me relax.
That's cool. I love reading, especially fantasy books.
I've never been a big reader, but I do love fantasy art.
Oh, nice. Do you draw characters or scenes?
Mostly characters. I could show you sometime.
All right, we are back with Fei-Fei. She is introducing herself today. In the first part of our dialogue, it's all about talking about hobbies. Hobbies, pastimes, interests, things you like to do away from work, away from school, things you have a passion for. And if you can find a friend who has the same passion for the same hobby or pastime or sport or whatever it is, that's a great way to make a connection. So let's see what's going on here.
Yes, and so we have a new character. We have Ethan.
Ethan. Hi, Ethan. Everyone say hi, Ethan. Hi, Ethan. Okay.
Yes, and so it says Ethan greets Fei-Fei on the way home from school. So they've just finished school. Fei-Fei is walking home. Ethan must be walking a similar direction, and he grabs her attention for something because, well, he knows her from school.
And Ethan says, hey, weren't you in English class today? That's kind of just a very, very smooth way of saying, I know something about you and you might know me and here's what it is. So he asked that question just to make sure you're correct. You probably think you are correct. You're just kind of throwing it out there to say, hey, look, we have this thing in common. We were both in the same English class and I'm checking to make sure it was you. Was it you?
Well,
was it Fei-Fei?
Yes.
It was.
Fei-Fei says, yeah, I was. You're Ethan, right?
Ooh.
So again, same kind of thing. She has the right at the end of it to ask the question, but she's most likely correct. She most likely already knows. It's just kind of a way of like, let's double check who's everybody and we can kind of know I'm from English class and I know you're Ethan and now we can kind of chat.
That's me, he says. So she remembered his name, which is really nice. Do you walk home this way too?
Yes, and so then Fei-Fei says, I do. Then she goes into the next part and says, just to introduce myself, I'm Fei-Fei. So just double checking that you know who I am. I knew who you were from class. And he probably knew who she was, but just to be sure, she wanted to say her name so that we can get past any awkwardness of, what's your name? Did I remember? I don't remember. Okay, everybody knows who everyone is.
And he says, got it. Nice to meet you properly. And this is where he might stick out his hand and shake hands with her. Back to the small talk. So, what do you usually do after school? When we do something properly, that adverb there we saw when we talked about meeting you properly, that's just kind of in the right way, in the formal way, not in the kind of casual, easy way where we might skip a few things or something. If you do something properly, you do it being very careful with all the details, making sure you do all the things that you should do, and you're not kind of taking shortcuts and kind of doing it in a less serious or less focused kind of way. For example, the kids were told to behave properly during dinner in the right way, like you should behave at dinner. You know who always behaves properly?
Hanny.
You know it.
I do know.
Let's go to her.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny， 今天要继续来看2段自我介绍的对话。第3段对话是关于谈论嗜好。那么 Mike 老师在讲到嗜好时，他有提到 pastime， P-A-S-T-I-M-E，pastime 这个名词表示消遣娱乐。好，那对话一开始 ，Ethan 在放学回家的路上和菲菲打招呼。他问菲菲：“你今天是不是有上英文课啊？”那菲菲说是，他应该也是认得 Ethan， 但是保险起见，他还是有先跟对方确认是不是叫做 Ethan， 然后接着再自我介绍。Sam 老师说，这样可以避免掉一些尴尬。那 Sam 老师用到的 awkwardness 就是表达尴尬、局促不安的意思。好，接着 Ethan 对菲菲说，很高兴正式的认识他，并问他放学后通常做些什么。这边有一个单字 properly 这个副词表示恰当地、适宜地或是正确地，在对话里面就是表达说正式地、好好地认识你的那种意思。那我们接着回到课文中。
All right, we are back. So let's find out what Fei-Fei likes to do when she's not in school, because that's what Ethan just asked her about.
Yes, and so Fei-Fei says, I listen to music or draw.
Nice.
Drawing helps me relax. So she has a way of just calming herself down, and that is drawing.
Okay, 2 very interesting hobbies there, listening to music and doing some art. And Ethan says, that's cool. All right, so that's interesting, he could also say, or he appreciates that. Those are some pretty interesting, cool hobbies. What about him? He says, I love reading, especially fantasy books. So he's a big fan of fantasy books. I joked earlier that they're talking about their hobbits. But he could be talking about hobbits because fantasy books are books that often take place in that world of magic and swords and dragons and knights, Lord of the Rings and things like that. Not science fiction. This is the same kind of thing, but kind of in the past on Earth, you know, when there was magic and wizards and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, and so then Fei-Fei says, I've never been a big reader, but I do love fantasy art.
Ooh.
So when we say something like, I've never been a big something, that basically means that you're not really into that thing. So in this case, she's never been a big reader. This is not literally the size of anything like that, but it means that she's not really somebody who likes to read often. It's not her favorite thing to do, but she does love fantasy art. So still likes fantasy, not the reading part, but the drawing part.
So Ethan says, oh, nice. Okay, so being a fan of the style of book, fantasy books, he's probably also a fan of the covers because, yeah, they're very cool. Do you draw characters or scenes? That's a great question.
That is a good question.
For someone who draws or paints, right? Characters, do you do people or do you do scenes? Do you do, in other words, for art, we might say, do you do portraits, which is a picture of a person, or do you do landscapes, which is more a picture of the land?
Yes, and so he used this word character when he asked that question. And a character when you're talking about, again, they were talking about fantasy books and things like that. So a character in a book, a TV show, a movie, or anything like that is just a person who is one of the people who act or do something in that book. You might have main characters who are the heroes. You might have smaller characters, minor characters, but anybody who is in that story doing some role would be considered a character. And our example sentence says, that movie has too many characters. I can't remember them all. To me, sounds like the Marvel movies. Too many characters.
Oh, there's a lot of characters.
Yes. And so then Fei-Fei says, mostly characters. I could show you sometime. So mostly she likes to draw the characters, the fantasy characters. And she says she could show him sometime.
Very cool. And yeah, if she'll show them to him sometime, that just means in the future. I'm not going to show them to you tomorrow. I'm not going to meet you this weekend and show you, but sometime in the future, sometime, it doesn't matter what the time is. We're just saying in the future at a certain point, but we don't really care about the details. For example, we should play basketball together sometime. This weekend, next weekend, in 45 years, I don't know. Probably sooner rather than later, but the exact time is not important. Let's go to Hanny.
Ethan 问菲菲放学后通常会做些什么？菲菲说她会听音乐或是画画，画画能帮助她放松。那 Ethan 自己则是喜欢阅读，尤其是奇幻小说。Fantasy 这个名词就可以表达奇幻文学、戏剧或是艺术风格。菲菲接着说，她从来都不是个喜欢看书的人，不过她很喜欢奇幻艺术。那当 Ethan 问她是画人物还是画场景时，菲菲回答大多是人物。她可以找个时间给 Ethan 看看他的作品。那我们来看单字 character。character 这个名词，它可以表达小说、戏剧、电影等等的人物角色。Sometime 是副词，则是表达过去或将来的某个时候。另外，文中它用到 a big reader， 这是表达非常喜欢阅读、读很多书的人。那我们接着回到课文中。
All right, we are back. So let's go to the second part of the dialogue now. We will listen to all that. One more dialogue to go, then we'll be back to talk about it. Fei-Fei and James meet at a language exchange event.
Hi, I'm James. I'm from England. What's your name?
I'm Fei-Fei from Taiwan. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Are you here to practice English?
Yes, I have English classes, but I want to improve my speaking outside of them.
You're doing great so far. I'm actually learning Chinese.
Really? That's cool. Why Chinese?
I want to travel to Taiwan someday, and Chinese sounds beautiful to me.
Thanks. I can help you practice if you want.
That would be awesome. We can help each other.
Deal. Let's start now.
All right, we are back. It's language exchange meetup time. Fei-Fei is continuing to collect friends all over the school. She's doing a really good job.
Yes, she is.
I would say she met Kiara on her first day when she was lost. She just met Ethan, who's the fantasy fan, he likes to read fantasy novels, and we found out Fei-Fei likes to do fantasy artwork. So that clearly is a friendship that will develop. And next we're moving on to, yes, the language exchange meetup. Often when you go to a school as an exchange student, or maybe just all the new students at the beginning of the year, a language exchange is a great way. This is basically like a free English class or a free language class.
Yes, and so now Fei-Fei is meeting James.
Yes.
So it says Fei-Fei and James meet at a language exchange event. Okay. So there must have been some kind of setup from the school maybe that kind of let everybody go and meet with people who speak a different language, probably mostly a language and English, so that they can kind of, everybody can get what they are looking for and what they want to learn. But yeah, so now she's meeting James.
There you go. So let's find out all about this new friend. And it begins with James saying, "Hi, I'm James," which is a good thing to say when you introduce yourself, when you're meeting someone for the first time. "Hi, I'm James. I'm from England. What's your name?" So already there, some important information. His name is James. He's from England, and he's curious about Fei-Fei.
Yes, and then Fei-Fei says, "I'm Fei-Fei from Taiwan. Nice to meet you."
Boom.
So there you go. There's a very quick introduction, but we've got all the information we need to know the other person so far.
Absolutely. Let's carry on. "Nice to meet you too," says James. And again, in my mind, they're shaking hands here. "Are you here to practice English?"
Yes, and then Fei-Fei says, "Yes, I have English classes, but I want to improve my speaking outside of them."
Very smart.
Which is a very good thing to do to find this kind of language exchange, because then you will get more of just a native, natural way of speaking rather than what you might be learning in class. So language exchange, very good idea if you want to improve your speaking skill, your listening skill, and all of that. So to improve something, this verb just means to get better at something. You can practice to improve. Usually that's how you're going to get better at something, is practicing or going and taking a class and learning how to do that. Then you could improve some skill. And our example sentence says, "The teacher gave us tips to improve our writing." We wanted to be able to improve how we wrote. We wanted our writing and our essays and our whatevers to get better. So the teacher gave us tips.
Wonderful. And you know who else gives us tips? Hanny.
第四段对话的场景是一个语言交流聚会，菲菲和 James 在一个语言交流活动中见面，那他们彼此自我介绍。James 是来自英国，他问菲菲是不是来练习英文的。那菲菲说是，他有上英文课，可是还是想在课外加强口说。好，单字 meet up 这个名词就表示非正式的聚会或是聚餐。Improve 是动词，则表示改进、改善的意思。那这话课文中。
All right, we are back. So Fei-Fei is going to the language exchange club or group. She's trying to learn a little bit more English and just practice her English outside of the classroom, away from school in a more fun, relaxing way. And hey, make some friends at the same time. And she's already met James from England, and she just explained that, yeah, she wants to sign up for the language exchange so she can practice her English in a more comfortable, relaxed way and make some friends. And James says, "You're doing great so far. You're doing really well so far. You're speaking English. You're being confident." He says, "I'm actually learning Chinese." So he might know Fei-Fei is from Taiwan. She speaks Mandarin. She speaks, one of the forms of Chinese. And that's what James is really interested in learning. So she might be the person that is perfect for him. It would be perfect for them to pair up.
Yes, and so Fei-Fei says, "Really? That's cool. Why Chinese?" And that was a question I always got too. It's like, why do you want to learn Chinese? Well, first of all, why not? But it is one of the, maybe a language that you might not expect right away from somebody who is speaking English, because they tend to learn languages that are similar, a little bit closer to English, or that are a little bit easier in that way, or closer to them as far as the countries that they might visit or travel to. Luckily, though, James has a reason for why he wants to learn Chinese.
And it's not that like 20% of everybody in the world speak. No, that's a good reason too. But yes, he has a more special reason, which is fine as well. He says, I want to travel to Taiwan someday. So he might have had a friend from Taiwan or learned about it. Maybe he's just a huge fan of bubble milk tea. And he says, for another reason, Chinese sounds beautiful to me.
Yes, and so Fei-Fei says, thanks. I can help you practice if you want. So I think she's saying thanks to the fact that he said Chinese sounds beautiful to me. And so she's like, yeah, I mean, I agree. That's my language. I'm happy you like it. And she can help him practice.
And he says, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. That would be fantastic. That would be great. If you could practice with me, I would really like that. And as he says, we can help each other. And that is indeed awesome. Yes, if something is awesome, well, technically this should be like, oh my God. It should be kind of like that. Like when you stand at the bottom of Taipei 101, you go, wow, wow. But we also use it in a more modern, casual way to say it was really good.
Yes, and so Fei-Fei says deal, meaning, yes, I agree, we should help each other. It's a deal. You can just say deal. And then she says, let's start now. Let's not waste any time. Let's start learning each other's languages better. And hopefully we can both be fluent and visit each other's countries in the future.
Let's start 现在. All right, let's go to Henny now.
James 可能觉得菲菲的英文表达能力还不错，他说菲菲到目前为止表现很好。接着聊到自己其实正在学中文，他会想学中文是因为想到台湾旅行，而且他觉得中文听起来很美。那菲菲有先向他道谢，并主动跟 James 说，如果他想的话，可以帮他练习。James 就说太棒了，他们两个可以互相帮忙，于是就讲好从现在开始帮彼此练习。好，来看单字 awesome 是形容很棒的，令人惊叹的。然后文中有用到 deal 来表达一言为定的语义。deal 是口语用法，它是 it's a deal 的省略说法，也就是指说就这么说定了，一言为定或是成交的意思。那接回到课文中。
And we are back. So we're going to review the dialogue again, guys. We thank you for joining us on this journey along with Fei-Fei as she settles into life at her new school. Sounds like she's doing well. I'm a little jealous. She's going to have a great adventure, so many wonderful new experiences. And maybe you guys will want to take on the challenge and the adventure of being an exchange student. But either way, we wish you all the best. Take care of yourselves and each other. And we'll see you here next time. Bye bye. 再见. Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen. Ethan greets Fei-Fei on the way home from school.
Hey, weren't you in English class today?
Yeah, I was. You're Ethan, right?
That's me. Do you walk home this way too?
I do. Just to introduce myself, I'm Fei-Fei.
Got it. Nice to meet you properly. So, what do you usually do after school?
I listen to music or draw. Drawing helps me relax.
That's cool. I love reading, especially fantasy books.
I've never been a big reader, but I do love fantasy art.
Oh, nice. Do you draw characters or scenes?
Mostly characters. I could show you sometime.
Fei-Fei and James meet at a language exchange event.
Hi, I'm James. I'm from England. What's your name?
I'm Fei-Fei from Taiwan. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Are you here to practice English?
Yes, I have English classes, but I want to improve my speaking outside of them.
You're doing great so far. I'm actually learning Chinese.
Really? That's cool. Why Chinese?
I want to travel to Taiwan someday, and Chinese sounds beautiful to me.
Thanks. I can help you practice if you want.
That would be awesome. We can help each other.
Deal. Let's start now.
最后，我们来复习今天课文里的单字。 properly 是副词，它表示恰当地、适宜地或是正确地。Character 这个名词，它可以指小说、戏剧、电影里面等等的人物角色。Sometime 是副词，它可以指过去或将来的某个时候。Improve 是动词，表示改进或是改善。那以上是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
Have you ever visited somewhere and you really want to remember the great times that you had? Or maybe you want to get a gift for a loved one, but you don't know what to get?
Well, today we are going to explore a souvenir store together.
Let's go! First up, we've got magnets. Our family loves collecting magnets from all over the world. Our fridge looks awesome.
Come on, let's look at some of my personal favorites. Badges have a safety pin on the back, and usually they're in the shape of a circle.
Come over here. Look at these lanyards. These lanyards are great for the everyday worker. You can put your keys on them or even an ID.
Oh, let's go check out some plushies. Wait, what's that?
Plushies are a soft and squishy toy that is usually filled with cotton.
Okay, there's one last thing to look at, and it's one of my personal favorites. It's a pressed penny machine. You'll put a coin in, and a special pressed coin with a design on it will come out, and it'll be a good memory of your vacation.
Now you know what to look for when you're shopping for friends and family at a souvenir shop. Now it's time for me to do my souvenir shopping.
Well, that's all we have for today. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. And remember, send us a DM or an email if there's something you want to say in English but you just don't know how. Kiki, is there anything else you want to say?
I can't choose because there's so many things I want to buy. What am I gonna do?
Kiwi later!